Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel all about remote jobs. Today we are going to discuss about my experience working at Turing and also my honest review about the company, like is it a legit company or it's a scam, because a lot of guys have messaged me in my DM on LinkedIn and Facebook as well, whether is Turing a genuine company. So yeah, today we are going to discuss about Turing. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for all the love and support which you guys showed on my first video. And the one thing which I noticed is like 80% of the views are coming from people who have not subscribed to my channel. So if you guys find this channel helpful and informative, do subscribe to my channel so that you get notified time to time regarding the upcoming videos. So this was basically my second video on this channel. In the first video I discussed about my journey, a small brief intro, and it was almost an hour it was almost an hour of video, and it was a live session. So yeah, there were a lot of questions asked and I tried to clear as much as doubts as possible. In this video, as I said, I'm going to discuss about Turing. So let's get started. Turing is actually a company based in US, founded by Jonathan Siddharth, an Indian, in the year 2018, and it's a company which mainly deals in hiring talents from those countries where the cost of living is pretty less as compared to US, like especially from Asian countries, like especially India, Bangladesh, or maybe some other countries like Philippines. Okay, and so candidates like they usually mostly hire from India. So candidates get hired from India and they work for US companies, and Turing pays them on behalf of those US companies. This is how it happens. This is how it used to happen at Turing. But since the AI boom, Turing also started investing and started exploring AI space. And lately they have started to take a lot of AI projects, just like Merker and Micro One. However, Merker and Micro One are purely AI based companies. They usually deal in the field of AI. However, Turing started their journey from hiring talents from India, usually in the line of, I guess, software development. Yeah, they used to deal in mostly in this domain. Like if you're a software developer and if you're great at coding, and if you have good presentational skills, and of course if your English is fluent so that you can communicate with US clients properly, then you can apply for open roles at Turing. This was what Turing previously, but now they have tried to get a lot of projects. They have a lot of projects running, mostly from Google, and yeah, they are hiring candidates for the AI projects. So there were a lot of questions which I got in my inbox, and I will try to clear my doubts about my journey. So let's start from the beginning regarding Turing. When did I first started to apply? So I first started to apply for Turing in the month of January 2026 this year, and actually this was the first company from where I got an offer for a particular role. So as I mentioned earlier, in the month of January I got offers from 5 different AI companies who deal in the field of AI, and but Turing was the first, and then followed Micro One, then Merker, and then Outlier, etc. So yeah, I applied in the month of January. Then which role did I apply for? I applied for a couple of roles over there, like almost 4 or 5 roles. One was for the customer service representative role. Then second was it was for a team lead role. They didn't mention the process or the project, but they just mentioned that they are hiring for team leads. And the third one which I applied for, that was a role for a business analyst, and this was the role on which I got qualified. Okay, I got selected. So I applied, I guess, for the role of business analyst in the first week of Jan, and within 2 weeks all the interview rounds happened and I was selected. So yeah, and what were the interview rounds and how was the interview process? The interview rounds basically consisted of 2 different parts. First was a live AI interview where they'll be asking you about yourself. That's like the normal thing in other AI companies as well. It will be an audio video screen share interview where an AI interviewer will be asking you some questions, and you have to share the full screen of your device and you have to answer right away. That was the first round, and the questions were pretty easy since I have a great experience in technical support and customer service industry. And so mainly the questions were from my role as a customer service, like how to handle an irate customer, how would you give a wow feeling to a customer, how to convert a dis side customer to a C side customer. They were like pretty normal questions, domain specific questions. And for the business analyst, business analyst, there was just there was no AI interview, I guess. There were just two set of assessment. There were two set of assessments, and those assessments are very simple. They are like aptitude questions, cognitive aptitudes, find out the missing numbers in this series, or find out the odd object in this particular question. And funny enough, you can find these questions or answers on YouTube. There are a lot of YouTube videos where you can just type the name of the role and the name of the exam, and all the questions are mentioned, so you can prepare from there as well. But I would say before appearing for the interview, try to brushing up your skills, try to be prepared, of course. And be prepared for the AI interview and of course the assessments as well. How much time it took from interview to hiring? As I said, 2 weeks. In the end of the first week of Jan, I appeared. I filled up the form for Turing, and by the third week, I got selected. I got an offer. What was the pay that I was offered? Since I'm not working at Turing, so I will surely go ahead and disclose it. It was $8 per hour. Okay. Now this range is it's actually different. Okay, as compared to different countries on, or like different according to your geographical location. Some people are getting almost 14 or $15. Even I was initially offered $18 per hour, but unfortunately on the day of my onboarding, the HR emailed me that we cannot offer $18 anymore, since we have a lot of talents coming at $8. So that was a pretty that put me off a bit. But yeah, okay, I still onboarded on $8 per hour, since it was my first experience at in an AI company. And what was the project? Of course, the project was a data annotation project where we have to judge response A and response B accordingly. And there were sample tasks which given. And that was the general AI annotation work. Which company was it, the project from? Okay, this project was from Google DeepMind. Okay, and this project was running since, I guess, October or maybe November of 2025, and it was still going on. How many people were there in the project? This is a very surprising fact. There, when I joined the process, there were almost 1500 candidates in this particular process. And by the time I left this role, there were almost 24 or 2500 people. So there were a lot of guys working in this process. So how was the management? The management was pretty okay. I got a feeling of like a typical Indian corporate culture, since mostly the guys were from India at the higher management. And the management was pretty okay. Handling 24 or 2500 people, or just annotators, at in a particular project is very difficult, even for a project lead. So there were times when I felt that things are not going professionally. But still, I won't complain, because again, if you're handling so many people at a time in a brand new project, and the hiring is going on like anything, like the HR, they were trying to hire at least 100 or 200 people in a week. So, and sometimes in the last week of February, they hired almost 500 guys in a week. So I can understand the pressure, and so things may go off at some time. So I wouldn't mind, having, this kind of situation. But yeah, there were times when I felt things were not going professionally. But yeah, that was okay. how many hours do you have to dedicate every week? So when you apply for any role, at Turing, they will ask, there's a form where they will ask you expected pay rate. Whatever you give, it doesn't matter, they will pay you according to their standards and their, uh, uh, the terms which they have set for your geographical location, and of course your interview. And apart from that, they will be asking you like how many hours you can work. They will mention you that you have to work, can you commit 40 hours per week in PST time zone? You can just say yes, because it is not always 40 hours. And the project which I worked, in that project, I used to work in a different time zone. I will come to that as well. And yeah, I started over there as an annotator, and within a week I was offered to be a team lead by my project lead, but I unfortunately declined it because I thought it was too early to jump in. And of course, the promotion, you can say, or the was not coming with a pay raise, so I didn't felt it, being honest. So I didn't actually took the promotion, and I declined gracefully, and my project lead was pretty okay with that. What are the levels of hierarchy over here? Okay, there are apart, like as compared to micro one, the hierarchy levels over here are different. You work as an annotator or maybe an expert, whatever you can say. Then comes the QA, and the QA have a QA lead. And also, since you work in a team, you have a TL as well, then you have a group TL as well. Then then you have of course a project manager. And there was one more guy, I don't remember his designation, but he was under the project manager, but he was, I guess, the head of the process. And of course there are many other people as well, like the IT team, the HR team, so they are also present, but pretty much it's your TL and your QA who's going to handle you. In my team there were almost 40 or 50 people in the beginning. Then it went on to around 200 or 300 people, and there was only one pod lead. Then there were 3 or 4 pod leads in my team, and there were at least 6 to 8 QA guys who used to audit our work. So this is the levels of hierarchy which was at Turing. Specific to my project, of course, if I'll be working in a different project, then where the headcount is very less. Usually, people, usually the AI projects have a headcounts of 200 or maybe 300 or maybe maximum 400 generally. But there are some edge cases where, in my case in Turing, there were almost 2500 people in 2500 candidates in my project. So things were pretty different. When the pay was given, was what's like the pay cycle? Yeah, so usually at Turing, everyone used to get paid monthly. For the first like for one complete month, you will get on the 5th of the next month. So suppose in the month of Jan, I have worked from Jan 1st to Jan 31st, I'll be getting paid on 5th of February. The pay was on time. However, some people from Nigeria and Philippines, they had some issues in pay. They were not getting paid since 2 months, maybe 3 months. But it didn't happen with me. But yeah, a lot of guys were having a payment issues. The payment were not getting denied, but it was getting stuck in the process, or maybe they ramped up to 2500 people in a very short time of in a very short time frame, and that's why they were not able to handle this audience. And yeah, so a lot of mishaps were happening, and one was, as I said, uh, unprofessional work environment. Apart from that, this pay late, they were getting paid late, but they all got sorted at the end of the day. Were there any kind of deductions? No, there were no deductions. Turing, of course, as I said, hire you as a freelancer. Okay, you don't work as a full-time employee, you work as a freelancer, which means your hours are not fixed, and you get paid on hourly basis. So since you get hired as a freelancer, so there are no deductions from Turing. You are liable for to pay your own taxes. Since I am from India, so of course I have to pay my own taxes, whatever tax bracket I will be going. So at Turing, I was able to earn almost, I guess, $2,000 per month if I work, if I try to take a lot of tasks. And uh, how the tasks were assigned, let me come to that as well. Unlike in Micro 1, where we create our own tasks and tasks are actually unlimited, at Turing, we were getting tasks in batches. Okay, so suppose there are almost 1,000 people waiting for some task, and in lot A or batch A, you got, there were 4 to 5, maybe sometimes 7 or 8 batches used to be released in a day, and sometimes there were no batch of work get used to release. So the work was pretty. It was segregated, and it was not it was uneven in nature. So some days we used to get a lot of work, some days we don't have to, we wait for the whole complete day and we don't get any work assigned. So the work used to come in batches, maybe 300 or 400 tasks in a batch, and people used to wait. There was one common channel on Slack where the team leads or maybe the project lead, whoever had the authority to post the task, they used to post the tasks and we used to pick up from there. And almost majority of time, if there are 1,000 people waiting for tasks, there were only 400 or 500 tasks which were getting assigned. So this was something setting me off as well, because uh, there was no fixed time when you can be getting tasks. We are asked to commit 40 hours in a week, but the task was uneven in nature. Yeah, they not they are not getting released at a fixed point of time. So sometimes people used to wait for maybe 2 or 3 days and there were no tasks. And so yeah, tasks were limited, they used to come in batches, and we had to literally wait for the tasks to come in 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And task used to never come up in a fixed time period in a day. Excuse me, like first batch of tasks come at 6 a.m., then 12. No, it was not like that. Whenever they used to get the approval for task batches from the client, they used to post on the Slack then and there, and whoever is the available person, they can go ahead and take that task. At least this is how it used to work at Turing in my project where I used to work. And my designation was business analyst, but of course it was a generalist role of data annotation. So other projects at Turing, they may have a different experience, I'm not sure about that. By the time I left, there was one more project, that was Google personalization, but I didn't worked at that process because I was pretty happy at my experience working at Micro One. And I tried to focus more on one particular company rather than working at different companies, and becoming a jack of all but master of none. So how much would I rate my experience at Turing? Yeah, Turing, I will give almost 8 out of 10, unfortunately, because of unconventional working hours, or the tasks, they were uneven in nature. And many people who used to give maybe 14 or 15 hours in a day, but they still used to get task only for 7 or maybe 8 hours. So you don't get paid for waiting for a task, but you only get paid if you get a task assigned to your bin and you start working on a task. The task was someone can complete a task in 40 or 45 minutes, but again the average pay rate used to be calculated on your hourly rate. And is it a genuine company? Of course it is a very genuine company, and never ever I any of my payment got delayed. Some people experience a payment delay, but it was because they were shifting from one payment method to another payment method. I don't know what payment method they had originally, but they were shifting to a payment method known as parallax. I don't know much about it, but that was the payment method. So they used to handle the payment things on behalf of Turing, just like in Micro One. They use deal. The same way at Turing, they were using parallax, at least until when I left Turing. It was in the month of I guess April beginning. Yeah. So of course it's a genuine company. You guys can apply it. The interview process is pretty easy. It's not very difficult as compared to Micro One or Merker. So yeah, that's all about Turing. And if you guys found this video, informative and helpful, please do like the video, comment on this particular video if you have any questions, your doubts which I was not able to address in this particular video. And please do subscribe to this YouTube channel. That that means a lot for me. And in the next video I will try to share my experience working at Merker. And it was pretty different as compared to Turing. So uh, till then, take care guys, stay safe, and bye bye.